Mark Cuban is here. He is the co-founder and chairman of HDNet. He's also the co-founder of 2929 Entertainment. It's an entertainment holding company that produces and finances movies. He's also the owner of the Dallas Mavericks basketball team. I am pleased to have him back at this table. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
A whole bunch of things you were talking about. First of all, how the Mavericks going to be?
You know, I never make predictions, but I think we've got a pretty good team. So, not going to
you've made some trades, though, that have been difficult for you.
Yeah, I mean, we lost Steve Nash and Michael Finley over the last 2 years, and it's really difficult to lose the icons of your team. But that's
Nash went on to do well.
Yeah, he had a nice year, but you know, we both tied for last place. Neither one of us won a championship, but that's just the nature of the game. As athletes age, even. You know, they say it's just a business, but it's a very personal business. But it's just something that happens.
What is HDNet?
HDNet, and we have two channels, HDNet and HDNet Movies, and they're the first two all high-definition TV networks. We're available on cable, we're available on satellite, but viewers can go knowing that not only are they going to get great entertainment, we carry the NHL, and we have movies, the day-and-date release movies, but they're going to get great entertainment in the best possible picture quality.
And how do you get it?
How do you get it? Well, you have a high-definition television now, and you call your cable or satellite provider and say, I want high definition, I want HDNet, and we're in front of 60 million homes. Yeah,
and how many, I mean, most of the majors, Time Warner carry you, does Comcast carry you?
Comcast and Cablevision are the big outcasts right now.
They have not signed
They have not picked us up.
But Time Warner does.
Time Warner here in New York, Time Warner across the country does.
Yeah, so, but Comcast is the biggest in the business.
Yeah, they are, but I mean, we can survive without them. I think Comcast, you know, our discussions with them, it hasn't been that they don't like the channel, they do, but they're limited on bandwidth, and that's going to have a big impact on the industry.
So what pressure do you have to bring to bear to them, I mean, as a gatekeeper to their system, to include?
Why should they carry us?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
what pressure do you have to bring to bear on them?
Well, just from viewers. I mean, viewers are buying, you know, there's going to be 20+ million high-def sets sold this year. And those viewers want high-definition content.
What has to happen for high definition to sort of pass through some passage of time that makes it reach all of its potential?
I think it's on its way. It's
almost like technology is there.
The technology is there. The viewer experience is great. I think it's very analogous to the PC industry in that we kind of, a lot of people looked at PCs. It's not quite there yet. It's not, and it all came down to price point. Yeah. You know, when it came
price point is determined by critical mass in terms of how many people use it.
And right now, high definition sets, you know, a 27-inch high def set that 3 years ago cost $2,000 is now under $400. And so anybody going out there to make the decision on a new television, there's a pretty good chance they're buying a high def set.
Give me a sense of what you think is the evolution from analog television to high definition television, analog and digital both.
I mean, it's very analogous really to AM/FM radio. If I remember growing up when the top stations were on AM and they dominated the market, and FM was just, you know, a better signal, a little bit better performance, and people kind of dismissed it. And I think that's what's happening right now with high definition, that the transition is going to be there, but the experience because of 5.1 audio, the experience because of the widescreen and the higher resolution, that I think early adopters and the companies like ESPN, TNT, Universal that have taken the early strides are really going to benefit, and those who come late, there might not be enough bandwidth to carry their channel, and I think that's an opportunity for us and a big problem for some companies.
HD Movies.
Yes.
What are you going to do there?
Well, we're doing something very unique. We have a subsidiary called HDNet Films, and we're out there producing movies shot in high definition, but we're releasing them simultaneously in theaters. You know, we own the Landmark Theater chain, and not just Landmark, but across the country, and showing them on HDNet Movies the very same day. So for those people, it's almost like sports. If you want to go to a Knicks or Mavericks game, you want to go, but if you have tickets. But if you don't, you'll watch it on TV. And I think moviegoing is also an out-of-home experience, best experience. But if you can't make it, HDNet Movies gives you the chance.
But you're saying that it's not. But it's also not going to. You say to the theater owners, which you are one. It's not going to hurt your attendance because there are always people who want the theater experience.
Yeah, you just want to get out of the house. I mean, there's times when you want to get away from the kids, and there's times when you can't, and that's when we also want to make it.
Has the quality of DVDs and the wide acceptance of DVDs had an impact on theater attendance?
You know, it's really hard to say. You know, the last 5 or 6 weeks, theater attendance has actually gone up. But the real question is, why aren't movies delivered to consumers how they want them, where they want them, when they want them? And that's really what we're trying to do. Rather than saying, because movies have always been distributed this way with windowing, you know, theatrical first and then some other, you know, TV or whatever it may be, we're saying, okay, how do you want to consume it? And so if it's on television, we'll make our movies available on HDNet Movies. If it's in theaters, we'll make them available in theaters around the country. And on top of that, if you want to watch it on a DVD and you want to have it delivered day and date to your home, starting this January, we'll be able to do that.
So
as
you'll
well.
release it simultaneously across the board?
Across the board.
On
Download,
every distribution network you have?
However you want it, that's how we're going to deliver it. Now, we'll charge a little bit of a premium for you to get it day and date.
Right.
So, because we want to make it more cost-effective to go to the theater than it is just to stay at home and watch it. That's where we want to put the incentive. But at the same time, if you can't get a sitter, or it's just you just want to stay home and watch it, but you want to share the same experience as the people who can go there, go to the box office.
So, what will be the cost, for example, of a first-run movie opening in the theaters and on HD TV or HD movies, and at the same time released on DVD?
Probably $29.95.
For $29.95, you can watch it at home.
You can watch it at home.
And what's the subscription going to cost for HD?
We're on tiers usually, so we're part of on Time Warner, it's an $8.95 tier. So you get us, Discovery.
I see. Yeah,
so
right. You get a package.
Right.
Yeah. What is $29.29?
$29.29 is a production company that partners typically with larger distribution companies. So we just executive produced the movie Good Night and Good Luck with George Clooney and David Strahan, and it's a phenomenal movie.
It is a wonderful movie.
Oh, it's incredible, and we're proud to have financed it, but that's the type of movie that we needed a stronger partner, and Warner Independent.
A stronger partner for distribution purposes?
For distribution, right. We didn't have the scale or size and just the importance of the movie. We wanted to get it out there, and we needed a partner like Warner's.
And so you financed the movie?
Yes.
It's not a joint venture with Warner's. It's all you financing the movie?
Todd Wagner and Mark Cuban financed that movie.
That's
100%.
your partner?
Yeah. Todd Wagner's my partner in everything. Pretty much we do.
Yeah.
And Warner Independent Productions is the distributor.
Where is the revolution that you and I you participated in, and I have reported on, both in terms of people like you and the people who've shaped it? Where is it going now? I mean, everybody talks about the personalization. Everybody talks about the cell phone as being the dominant instrument, and people talk about the platforming and the architecture where digital will all give you an opportunity to see everything in every possible way. Who are going to be the winners and losers?
I don't think we know yet. I mean, I think a lot of people like to point to Google and say, they're the de facto next Microsoft, but they don't have enough of a track record. And I do think they're vulnerable because 50% of their business comes from their network, meaning, all their AdSense on people's blogs, on people's websites. And a lot of that's, fraudulent and spam traffic. And I think they're vulnerable there. So I don't know exactly. I don't think there's a de facto winner.
But therefore, it might be wise of them to be making the kinds of investments they are in terms of spreading.
I think they're doing a lot of the right things.
Yeah.
I think they're great guys. They're very, very smart guys. And Eric Schmidt's been through the ups and downs.
Right.
When he was at Novell and Son, he saw the lows of the lows. So I think they're smart, but I don't think they're the de facto winner anymore. I don't think there is anybody. But in terms of where it's going,
if you had to bet on Google or Yahoo, who would you bet on?
I think it's too early to tell. I think both of them and I don't think Microsoft's out of the running either. I think they
because they have such resources and such talent.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to destabilize Google, and it wouldn't necessarily destabilize them, but if you want to really hurt their stock price, Microsoft is capable of coming in and supplanting their AdSense network by saying to, johndoe.com, rather than having Google AdSense on there, Microsoft will pay you a higher percentage, will guarantee you certain percentages, and they have enough money to be able to do it. And that AdSense revenue on third-party websites is 47% of Google's revenue.
What is our broadband penetration today? Do you know?
I don't know the exact percentage, but it's
in the vicinity of, is it 50%?
It's probably a little bit higher than that.
Yeah. Is it really in America?
Yeah.
Because in South Korea, it's
almost 100%. Yeah,
100%.
it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. And
the applications they have over there, people tell me it's stunning to go to Tokyo or to either to Singapore or Tokyo or Seoul in terms of what happens because of broadband.
Once you get up into the 100 megabits per second category, your life changes. Life as we know it changes because you start to see applications like healthcare applications. Yeah. So that rather than having to take somebody to the hospital, because you can do high resolution across 100 megabits, you can put a $1,500 high definition camera in front of grandma and then have the other side with a monitor in front of a doctor and have video conferencing back and forth with doing a virtual examination in real time. You can have monitoring. You can have, there's just so many applications that smart people will think of once we have that level of high speed. But that said, I don't think it's coming.
Why not?
Unless wireless makes it happen, I don't think we're going to see a new investment cycle from the cable companies or the telcos that can provide that level of speed.
And if they don't do it, no one will do it.
No,
Either
wireless
the telcos.
Wireless will. Wireless will continue to advance to the point where you can enable that level of speed.
But the telcos are in wireless.
Yes, they are, but they're in wireless more from a cell phone perspective. They see it as being competitive with their in the ground wires with data.
But if you're on the cutting edge of where wireless is going, from a technical standpoint, aren't you on the cutting edge of wherever it goes?
You should be. You should be, unless you're trying to protect a legacy business.
Yeah. So they're using wireless just to protect their legacy business rather than using wireless as a hedge for the future, as to open the door to the future?
Not necessarily, no. I think what I was, maybe didn't say it well enough, is that the new stuff coming down the pike.
Well.
Yeah. Most of the stuff is still futures.
Yeah.
I don't think it's here today. And so the telcos and the cable companies, they have every opportunity to buy that new stuff. But I think their inherent approach is to protect what they have, because they're all public companies.
Microsoft just declared a big dividend in the last year.
Last year. Yep.
Why wouldn't Bill Gates make a decision that wireless is clearly going to be, and this is as naive as I can be, clearly going to be a paramount, and it's going to take significant resources and capital to do the kinds of things necessary? Why isn't that a good bet?
I don't know, but I think, you know what, Google is doing exactly that. They are buying up dark fiber and attaching wireless connectivity, let's call it, to the dark fiber and creating their own, call it outer net, or their own internet. And maybe Microsoft will follow them, but I don't know. Microsoft really is historically partnered in those areas more than trying to do it themselves. So we'll see. But the best is yet to come in technology. We went through a lull where there's nothing really that was going to change our lives, but now miniaturization and consolidation of applications and little devices that may be even smaller than your phone, Bluetooth little headphone. Who knows where it's going to go?
How do you keep up?
I don't know how many hours a day you read, but I probably read 3, 4, 5 hours a day, and it's just. But I like it. I like it. That's the difference. It's like reading spy novels to me. What, if Google does this and Microsoft needs to do that, then who are the bad guys coming along to upset it all?
That's your addiction.
Yeah, it really is.
Is to know, is to try to find out what's going on.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, it really, really is. And I'm addicted to it, and my wife will be the first to tell you.
And how much time do you spend online, you think, a day?
Well, those two overlap, but probably a good 4 or 5 hours.
And how much time on email?
Probably 2 hours a day, because I spend no time on the phone. I won't even answer my phone.
Is that right?
Because email gives me a record of everything and it becomes my tickler file. So if Victoria sends me an email, I know that if it's in my undone file.
Victoria meaning my producer?
Your producer, right. Then if it's in my undone file, then it's my tickler file. And then I have emails going back to 1989. I can do a search and find out things I said, people I talked to, questions I had, and compare notes.
The movies. You like the movie business?
Yeah, I love it.
Because it's exciting, or because it somehow feeds your passion?
It feeds the passion and the competitive nature that I have, because it's a challenge to compete against Hollywood. When we started HDNet, that was one element of the challenge. Everybody said you couldn't do it, let's go do it, and it's been successful. And it's the same with movies. Taking a very vertically integrated company, creating the movies, being able to show them on television, be able to distribute the DVDs, and have the theaters to show them in, and saying, you know what, you think day and data is wrong? We're going to show you it's what consumers want. You think it's important to implement copy protection because you want to protect yourself against the good consumers and protect them from going wrong? Well, we're not going to copy protect any of our content. We don't think it's an issue. We think it's a waste of money. We'd rather put it into our movies. And just the opportunity to go and put my money where my mouth is and be competitive and make good movies and enjoy them at the same time gets my competitive juices going.
Can you change the movie beyond what you want to do with the instant release across the board? Can you change movies in other ways? What other ways do you think you can make a difference?
Well, there's digital cinema, there's 3D. I think it really comes down to just a willingness to accept new things from smart people. Not just saying this is the way we've always done it. Implementing digital cinema, which means that anything that can be digitized, we can bring it in real time, so we can show, the Charlie Rose show. If there's something that's changed,
now we're talking.
Now we're talking, and
yes.
And send it around the country in real time. I think what we're trying to do is to say consumers are far more willing to tell you what they want, and they're far more capable of telling you that through text messaging, through the internet, through how they spend their money, and it's time to respond to them. And now we finally, with all the digital technology, have the tools in the entertainment business to enable that. So why not use the tools? Why keep on doing it?
But there's also one thing that I'm sure you know this, and there's nothing I can tell you don't already know, but it is the idea. You know, good editors will tell you the best thing that they have, the sine qua non of all talents they need, is the capacity to find and hire good writers.
Amen.
If you're a filmmaker, well, you know this from sports.
Yep. Gotta have
a great talent can change a team.
In a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat.
And movies are the exact same way.
And the movies is the same thing. It is to find those people who can make great movies, because you can bring in all the new technology
and all
to
the money
distribute
that you want,
all the money.
And it
but
won't
unless
make
somebody has an idea,
it all comes down to
compelling.
the content. Yeah, it all comes down to the content.
Right.
But if you know, our first 4 movies through HDNet Films were Enron, The Smartest Guys in the Room, which is
a documentary you released.
April
tell us
26th.
what you did there, because it's an interesting story. You released it and then instantly it was on television?
Right, so we shot it all in high definition, other than the archival footage. We released it on April 22nd for 2 showings on HDNet Movies and on April 22nd in theaters around the country. And it went on to gross, $4+ million, which ranks it, in documentary terms, that's a good documentary.
Yeah.
So it's the 14th largest grossing documentary of all time.
This movie you got called The War Within.
Right.
What's that?
It's part from HDNet Films. It'll be part of our day and date release. And it's about a Pakistani whose brother was an insurgent. And to try to convince him to talk to his brother, he was tortured by Westerners. And in response to that, he decides, look, in memory of my brother, I'm going to become a terrorist. And it just so happens that his childhood friends, his next door neighbors, his first love, moved to New York, are living the American dream, and he tells them he's coming over for a job. And so, unbeknownst to them, they're harboring a terrorist, a suicide,
guy with a plan in mind.
A guy with a plan to blow up Grand Central Station. And then there's the conflict of, as he falls back in love, or does he fall back in love, and, will his feelings for his best friends and, their feelings for their adopted country, which will have more of an impact, that or his version of Islam. And
there's your conflict.
That's your conflict.
All right, roll tape. This is a scene from The War Within. Cuban co-founder and chairman HDNet, owner of the Dallas Mavericks, executive producer of the movie you just saw. We talked about The War Within. Nice to have you back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back.
Thank you for joining us. See you next time.